So we've talked about it a little bit so far. Sydney Wicker of Channel 6, KCEN. We've talked about it in this offseason. Scott Drew has got his work cut out for him. I sound like a broken record here. Like he needs to get a ton of guys in the portal. And it was kind of a weird start because they had the 100% crystal ball on Obie Agbim for like a week and a half before he committed. And they get two big-time commitments in the same day with Agbim from Wyoming and Michael Rataj. I still don't know exactly which one. I've heard announcers say both from Oregon State. And they're both guys who averaged over 16 points a game. Obviously, Rataj was first team all WCC because that's where Oregon State plays now. And Obie Agbim was the newcomer of the year in the Mountain West and third team all Mountain West last year and was one of the most coveted guys in the portal market. So Sydney, just in general, first couple of days, pretty good start for Scott Drew.
Yeah, much needed too. We know how much he's going to need to fill in a few pieces, lots of pieces. So I think this is great. Just talking about Obie a little bit, my friend Ethan Bird, who works in Wyoming, he and I went to Colorado State together and worked together in our first market in Mississippi. He covered Obie, said a lot of great things about him, says he's a super dynamic scorer and one who can get it done at the rim from three and just really a guy with a lot of like goofy characteristics, which I think is good for Baylor. You need a character guy and somebody who's like fun but serious in the big moments. So I'm really excited to see how he meshes with the Baylor dynamic, how he meshes with Scott Drew and what this team really needs. But just to be able to land two big guys like this is huge.
Can I give a second bold comparison of the episode?
Oh gosh, are you just gonna compare everybody? Who are you gonna compare me to?
This is well, we're still working on that. We still need the full body of work to know who we're gonna compare Sydney to. We know who's gonna play you in the movie, but we need to really get to know you a little better. But this one's crazy, by the way. Because I love doing this. I love comping people. Like, I know not everybody is watching a bunch of Obie Agbim highlights and they're relying on this podcast to hear who he's going to be. When I watch the highlight tape, the kid can shoot and he's explosive at the rim. Like, Ethan was downplaying it a little bit. Ethan or Evan? Did I get that wrong?
Yeah, you're right. Ethan Bird.
Okay, I got it. And trust myself here. He is explosive at the rim, and it reminds me, like, he has some highlight reel dunks on there. It reminds me a little bit of John Morant. Can I go that far? Okay. I'm not saying he's going to be the number 2 pick in the draft. Obviously, like, I'm not saying he's going to be an all NBA guy or anything, but that's the kind of play style that I'm talking about. A guy who can shoot, 44% from three on a pretty good serving size of threes, but can also finish at the rim in the Mountain West, which, not for nothing, it's not the Big 12, but they play a similar style of defense out there. Like the Mountain West gets called pretty physical from the games that I've seen, specifically in the Mountain West tournament over the last couple of years. So maybe that's kind of a natural pipeline. So Obie Agbim, certainly a big time addition. Rataj is a guy who can play on the wing, can defend a couple of different positions. I think those are 2 big pickups for Scott Drew. Now, the downside, the caveat is they both come in with experience, but that means they both only have 1 year left. And we've seen this with Baylor the last couple of years. They've gotten guys with 1 year left. And at the end of every season, when it doesn't work out and they lose in the second round, we're all saying, man, I wish these guys could play together for a couple of years. So, Sydney, I just want to get your read on that. You get 2 pretty talented guys in, the first day of commitments for Baylor, but they both only have 1 year. Does that kind of put a damper on this for you?
I don't think so. You need it. And this, you've asked me before, is Baylor going to be able to stay in with the times pretty much and be able to work with this new NIL transfer portal world that we live in? Well, they're getting some big guys. So my answer stays yes. Like, they're doing what they're supposed to. It's going to be great if they can keep guys and get some young ones that they can develop. But if you're able to still bring in key guys every year, I think that's really important. Because if you're not doing that, then are you even having a winning record in the Big 12? Like, it's just all about it's kind of a balance back and forth. What do you want on the seesaw?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and like, by the way, I totally understand why fans think that, like why they think, well, why do we keep getting these kind of guys? And I had someone comment on the Obie Agbim video. I believe his name was Ryan. I'm apologizing if I'm getting your name wrong, but said the same thing. He's like, we've seen that it doesn't work in March. Why are we getting excited about this? And I totally understand it. And the way I put it, I was like, we're not talking about a 2-10 football team where you just need to blow the whole thing up most of the time, right? We're talking about basketball where you can be pretty competitive in this conference if you have 2 top line players, like all conference players, 3 all conference players. You're feeling pretty good, right? Like that's a pretty good mark right there. And the other part of that is, again, Scott needs to replace basically a whole team. Okay. There are plenty of slots left to get young guys that will be on this team for a couple of years. With what you're bringing back, Josh O is your only guy with a ton of experience, because we still don't know about Celestine, but he probably will come back as well. So those are the guys that have a ton of experience, and you're not going to have Josh O for most of the year. So you need some guys who've played college basketball games and had that under their belt. And the way we look at it, I mean, they still probably need to get like, I don't know, 5 or 6 guys out of the portal. Yeah. So maybe, Sydney, maybe that's just the way they look at the rest of it. Then we start to look at the lower levels. Then we start to look at younger guys at the Power 4 level. Maybe I'm being too misguided on that, being blinded by the talent that these guys have. But that's the way I look at it. It feels like, Sydney, there's plenty of room to get some more younger guys.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. I think there's so much room, whether that comes from
Good. You can be on the show next week.
Oh, thanks. Agree with Cam, one time guaranteed a visit for next week.
Yes.
But
yes.
But yeah, no, you need guys with experience, and you also need guys that you can mold. And so I think this gives you the opportunity to have more of that balance, and maybe that's what will help you get past the second round or go to the Sweet 16. Don't know. It's a game. I don't know.
And that's all we can hope for.
That's all we can hope for.
I mean, it's a much tougher game to crack than it has been the last couple of years. As fans, the last couple of years have been able to say, here's where you need help. Here's where you need to get in the portal. Here's probably a guy that you can get in the portal that fits that. This year, different. Definitely. And there's still plenty of guys out there. 700 went in on the first day. So there's plenty of opportunity. Flory Badunga, can you hear me? Henry Visar from Arizona killed us twice last year. Can you hear me? Still plenty of work to do for Scott Drew and the boys. But let us know what you guys think about this first haul in the transfer portal. Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton. About half of you that are watching still aren't subscribed. We're bringing you Baylor content every day, and we're bringing Sydney to you every Wednesday and sometimes more. So check that out and let us know what you think about this portal haul so far.